Hi there, this is Elliot Martin,
And I'm Becky Hatfield.
and we're coming to you from opposite parts of the country to bring you all the ins and outs of Medicare and your health insurance,
We are asking,
and answering all your Medicare questions so that you can proceed with your healthcare and wealth planning and make a confident decision. This is the Medicare Navigators Podcast.
also, there is another part to Medicare, right? Because we haven't talked about prescriptions yet.
Yeah, so that's Part D of Medicare. D is in Delta. So
Okay.
that's where the prescription drug coverage comes in. It's a separate plan because back in 1965, when Medicare was signed into law, hardly anybody was taking prescription medications back then. So again, this is another part of Medicare that wasn't signed into law until 2003. And I
Wait,
think
can
it
we
went,
pause
yeah,
for a second? Not many people were taking prescriptions when in the 60s?
in the 60s.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, why?
Well, just the technology, right? So
Oh,
just the
okay.
pharmaceutical industry, I mean, it's really come on strong over the last, probably 30, 40 years, modern medicine, where
Wow.
back in 1960, there wasn't nearly as much technology for things like, high cholesterol and blood pressure. And, a lot of these, medical conditions, really a lot of prescriptions have come out since then, right? Since 1960. So really
Okay.
Medicare had no prescription drug coverage until no official prescription drug coverage until 2006, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's not that long ago. I
No.
guess I guess
Well, things with Congress takes a long time if you want to pass something, and if you don't have the support, all the bipartisan support, I mean, it can take a lot of time for things to go and
wow.
to hit the books. So
Wow.
yeah.
That kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, so not many people were taking medicines back then, so they didn't have Part D. So now they do as of 2006. So tell me a little bit about Part D. So you said Part B covers some things, but doesn't cover everything. So we need a Part D to come in and kind of fill in those gaps.
Right. Yeah. So that, I mean, that's basically what we would do is you would need a prescription drug plan if, I mean, and I would base it off of your current prescription needs. So if you've got 3 medications you're taking, I would just cross-reference it. There's tools out there, and we can help folks with this as well. This is what we help folks do is cross-reference those 3 prescriptions and what pharmacy you like to use with all the, maybe there's 20 different plans, prescription plans in your state. So we would just figure out, okay, what's the most cost-effective plan to go with based on what you're taking, what pharmacy you like to use. And plan premiums can be, very minimal, under $10, but they can be over $100 at the same time. It just depends on your prescription needs and what plan really makes the most sense based on those needs.
Okay. It sounds like it would be really complicated though to find that. How do
If
you do that?
if you know what you're looking for, it's pretty straightforward, but it can be a little bit tricky navigating. The Medicare website does have a really good tool. It's not always exactly 100% clear how you should be answering questions and how you should be entering things in, but it's a very good tool if you know how to use it to just make sure you're in the way I like to describe it is we want to make sure you're on the correct seat on the bus, right?
Mm.
That way based on your prescription needs, we're setting you up about as good as we can do. There's no perfect science to it, but we want to get you set up in the right seat on the bus. The plan that appears from the start of the year or whenever you switch to Medicare, plan that appears to be most cost effective from that point. And of course variables can change throughout the year and some things are out of our control, but that would be kind of our that's our philosophy on the prescription drug plans.
Okay. What happens if you have found a Part D plan that you really like, it covers all of your current prescriptions, but then you get a serious illness midway through the year that requires a very expensive medicine, like say you have to start chemo? What do you do then? Do you have to pay out of pocket?
Well, chemo would be covered under Part B. So
Oh,
you don't have to worry
okay.
about that. But orally taken chemotherapy, there are orally taken ones. pills and capsules and so forth. It depends on the plan. So each plan has its own formulary. It's impossible. Nobody's got a crystal ball to figure out what plan is going to be the right fit for your future prescriptions, because guess what? The future, nobody knows what we might take in the future, but these plans do cover thousands of prescriptions. If you run into a prescription that's not covered, you can always request exceptions, have your doctor write into your company. You can basically appeal. There's other avenues to go down as well. There's foundations out there that can help you with prescription costs. There's coupon sites like GoodRx.com and Single Care, and Mark Cuban's got his Cost Plus pharmacy online. So there's all sorts of different resources out there. If your prescription maybe isn't covered or isn't covered as good on your insurance as you can find elsewhere. I mean, I think, I've heard Costco's got great cash prices. There's a number of different things folks can do if they run into issues with their prescriptions.
Okay, so what if you are one of those unicorns that you're super healthy, you don't take any prescription drugs?
Yeah, so we have
not sign up for a plan?
We wouldn't suggest it, just because Medicare does keep track, and they'll start tacking on you'll start accruing a penalty. So really, there's low cost prescription plans, so you can get something for, in most states for 2024 under $5.
Wow.
Maybe even under, I would say under $5, and just have a backup coverage there in case. And that way you don't accrue penalties either by Medicare.
Okay, that's a good call. So even if you're a really healthy person, you don't take any prescriptions, it's always wise to kind of have the backup there in case something changes, which, as we know, our health doesn't always stay the same.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. Okay, that's so helpful. I'm excited to have many more future conversations with you, asking you all these questions, because even as we had this conversation, I'm having all these other questions that are coming into my head.
Yeah.
So I think this will hopefully help me help a lot of people figure out the ins and outs of Medicare.
Yep.
So thank you for this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope everybody enjoyed that conversation and learned a lot. And thanks for attending. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for listening into the Medicare Navigators podcast. We have a weekly Medicare 101 webinar that we would love to have you join us on. Go to our website at Medicare.gov to reserve your spot today. Please join us again next week as we continue this conversation. All information related to this episode are listed below in our show notes.